Hey guys, Shadow Reviewer here. Today, I'm looking at Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 3, Chapter 6, The Avatar and the Fire Lord. Yet another fantastic episode. So, both Aang and Zuko find out about their ancestors slash relatives past. So, in a shocking twist, Roku, Aang's ancestor, and Sozin, Zuko's great-great-grandfather, were actually best friends. They were friends 100 years ago. Around about 150 years ago, I think. Not entirely sure. And they seemed pretty chill, laid back, and they seemed to be really good friends. Hell, Roku turns out is Fire Nation. They seem to be chill, laid back, and be realistic people. Until, not surprisingly, Sozin is announced to be the Fire Lord, while Roku is announced to be the next Avatar. And despite them separating, they're still friends. In a really cool montage, Roku learns immediately the different worlds of bending. First, he went to the Southern Air Temple, where he met Gyatso as a child. Aang, sound familiar? Then he went to the Northern Water Tribe to learn water bending. Pretty much where Aang went to learn water bending, as did Katara. Then Roku went to the Earth Kingdom to learn earthbending. And let's just say his mentor was exactly like Toph. Aang, sound familiar? And then he learned firebending, the last one. Not entirely sure who his master was at that time, but nevertheless, Roku learned everything. And despite them being separated, I like they're still friends. Then after Sozin gets married, which would be Zuko's great-great-grandmother, it turns out this is how the war started. Sozin wanted to expand the Fire Nation, except Roku wanted to stay the peaceful route. And this leads to a pretty cool fight scene between the two, with, of course, Roku winning the fight. And then it cuts to 25 years later. Not entirely sure how it all started, but I think Sozin did it. Roku is attacked in his own home, and despite granting mercy to Sozin leaves Roku behind. That's utterly tragic. I mean, you kind of know going in it was gonna happen, but it's still tragic to see that. Kind of like one of my favorite horror films of the past decade, Pearl. I kind of knew going in that Pearl was gonna be the psycho in X, but it's still tragic to see unfold. Same here. Honestly, to see these two being the best of friends instantly break apart because of their differences, because of their lifestyles, is just utterly tragic. And that's pretty much how Roku disappeared, and how Sozin, after finding out that Aang was going to be the next in line, this is back when Aang was just born, he decided to hunt down and destroy all the air temples. Around 12 years after Aang was born. And he couldn't find him, since Aang went underwater with Appa and pretty much put himself in suspended animation for the next 100 years. Honestly, this is a tragic tale. From Aang's shocked look on it, but he realizes that even though it happened 100 years ago, he can still change it and bring peace to all the four nations. And with Katara, Toph, and Sokka by his side, he can do that. And with Zuko, he realizes his family history was a lie, and he goes to Iroh for advice. And a shocking twist, he's actually related to Roku than he expected. And this gives Zuko a decision on how he should go with his destiny. Should he stand by his side by his father and rule the world? Or should he be his own person and stand for what's right? So many possibilities with this. And it's conveyed in a great episode. And that's my review. A pretty solid episode with a great backstory for Avatar Roku and Fire Lord Sozin. Tomorrow I'll be looking at Chapter 7, The Runaway. Until then, actually, before I review that, I've got a Friday the 13th video to do, so keep a lookout for that. Until then, I'm the Shadow Reviewer, signing off.